Well, good morning everybody. Charlie here with Red Summit RF. Today I am walking to the top of Mount Ord, and it's another Summits on the Air activation. There'll be Parks on the Air activation as well. I have a couple of objectives today. The reason I chose Mount Ord is because there are some commercial antennas, or commercial towers on top with antennas, and I want to do a few tests, some subjective tests. I have in my pack a G-106 and also the new Elecraft KH1, and so I want to kind of see how they perform up here on this mountain next to the communication towers. This area is notorious for causing a little interference with the radios, and so we'll see how these two radios that are in my pack perform. I also want to try getting that Elecraft KH1 out and trying to do some activations with without that whip antenna. Take the dipole out and we'll connect that to the KH1, and we'll also use an external key. So that's what we'll be up to. Part of the reason also that I brought the Xiegu G-106 because it has 10 meter capabilities and the KH1 does not. So we'll get on 10 meters first, then we'll try some other stuff. So stay tuned, we'll catch you up there. So right there, I think you can get a good look at the towers I'm talking about. Communication towers. We'll be right up there near them. Last time I was up here with Sandy, we had really bad interference on sideband. CW was interference too, but not as bad. I'll be doing only CW, so we may not see the effects like we would on sideband, but we'll give it a try and see what we hear. Man, I can really hear the wind blowing through those towers. Luckily, I think we're on the opposite side of the wind. That's good. Yeah, it's pretty calm on this side compared to how windy here it is. Still a little breeze, but we can live with that. Well, let's get set up here and get things underway. All right, folks, so I have right here the, let me just pull this out real quick. I've got the, it's the G-106 transceiver. I've got a Pico Palm key. We've got N6 ARAs, SWR meter, use my cell phone to log with, and then we've got the antenna behind me. It's kind of hard to see, but back up in this tree here is a linked dipole. It has, going from top to bottom, it has 10, 15, 17, 20, 30, and 40 meters. And so what we're going to do now is we're just going to get on the air, see if we can get some DX by getting on 10 meters. It's the perfect time right now to do so. We're going to see if the radio gives us any interference, or not. I shouldn't say that. We're going to see if these towers here give us any interference on this radio, and see how the front end filtering is on it. I don't have high expectations, but we'll give it a try and see. And then after that, we'll switch over to the KH1. So let's see if we can get some DX first here on the G-106. Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad. I'm encouraged. Sounds like the band's open. That's Germany, or no, England. That automatic gain control sure is a little wonky. There's Spain. Okay everybody, so we're going to switch over to the Elecraft KH1 now. I think I mentioned earlier that this link dipole that I'm using had 15 meters on it, but it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tune, I'm going to use the tuner on the Elecraft, and I have the link dipole set to 40 meters, and I'm going to tune it for 15, and I think we'll be okay. I guess it's worth the experiment. We'll figure it out, and so we'll go to that. We'll try 15, and then if 15 doesn't work very well, if it's too high of a SWR, then we'll just do 40. But let's go ahead and go with the Elecraft. Here it is. I'm not using the whip, and so got the antenna plugged in, and I got the Morse code paddle here. So let's get going with it and see how we do. No, not down. Up to 15. There's 18. 21 megahertz. There it is. 15. 21 megahertz. And let's tune that and see. Wow. 1.2 to 1. Woo! Nice. All right, let's turn the volume up. And let's spot ourselves. I'm on 21065. I hear a 2 in there. Is that what? I'm gonna have to pull this up and listen to it again. Okay. You can't hear it, I'm sure, on there, but it's W2WC. I didn't hear it. $539. Okay everybody, I've wrapped up this Summits on the Air activation, and here are a few thoughts that I have. First, going to the Xiegu G-106, I didn't really have a lot of interference with these antennas here. If I did, I didn't notice it, and that's a good thing. I know that people have tested this radio, they put it on the bench, and there's some problems with it, but I still believe that it's a very strong radio and a very good radio for the amateur radio operator who is new to HF and wants to get on the air immediately. It's right around the $250 to $300 range to get on the air if you have sideband. That you can't beat that, and so it's a good bridge radio. I'll have to get on another summit and see if with other antennas and see if we can do some other tests, some commercial antennas nearby and see. But right now it doesn't feel like that there's a lot of interference with commercial antennas here. The front end still kind of does overload when there's a big pile up, but you know, that's just kind of how it is sometimes. Now when it comes to the Elecraft KH1, I really like this radio as well. Today I plugged in my linked dipole to this port here, and I didn't use the key that came with it for the most part. I did a little bit because I wanted to see how it was working, how it works with high speed. I see this radio in my mind, and for the way I operate, if I owned one, most of the time I would operate it just like I did. I would put the link dipole or some sort of antenna here in this port, I would put an external key on it, and I would operate that way. Because most of the time when I'm operating a summit, I want to get a bunch of different bands so that I don't exclude the chasers. Daryl had a great article that he wrote, and I also interviewed him about the feeding of chasers. And basically what that means is that you want to help your chasers to get that contact so that they'll come back to you, and they'll know that you're a person who will go to all the bands, and that you're trying to help them get the points. You know, you only need 4 points on a summit, right? But you stay up here, you work, I do anyway, I stay up on a summit, I work at least 40 and 20, and then several of the other bands if I can. So I would use it that way. Now, as far as the whip goes, and this whole thing with the 15, 17, and 20 meters using the whip and standing, I think that has its place too, but I wouldn't use that as that wouldn't be my primary way to operate, because you're excluding the people that would be looking for you on 40 meters and 30 meters. And so because of that, I would say it's more of a specialized, nice thing to have in your toolkit. And you know, for example, if you're operating in the snow, it would be nice not to be able to have to sit in the snow, but to just stand and operate. And also if you're in a very tight quarters or a place where you can't deploy an antenna easily, being able to just hold the radio and the whip, you know, going up, and then have the Morse code paddle right here is very convenient in many situations. But I wouldn't use it as my primary activation tool because of the lack of 40 meters. And I know that that's just the way it's been built, and there's compromises that have to be made, so I understand that. So I would say that this paddle is just okay. You have to, it's pretty, you know, I have to go like this a lot instead of just, you know, with the regular paddle I just do a little squeeze, but this I have to kind of move back and forth in order to make it clean. The only way you can use the radio, in my mind, if you're holding it, is to use this paddle though. It's built for this radio to use when you're standing, and so you'll have to be stuck with that. But otherwise, I would say don't use it if you're going to lay it down. Of course, it's obvious if you're going to lay the radio down and use it how you would like a mountain topper, then of course you wouldn't use the paddle down there like that. So I guess it's something that you still need to buy, or it still needs to be included with the radio, this key. But it's just an okay key as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they'll upgrade it to a better one, but I think it does its job, I would say, especially if you're just using this whip concept for occasionally for just those certain activations. So anyway, great activation. The Elecraft KH1 in my mind is a great radio. I would own it, and I really like the whip antenna concept, and I would use that occasionally and be very happy with that as well. As far as the G106, I probably wouldn't own it myself at this point, just because I'm a CW guy. If you're a CW guy, that's probably not the radio for you. There's others that are better in the price range. So with that, I'm going to say 73 to you guys. I really appreciate you coming along. I appreciate Sue and Chuck lending me this radio, Radioddity lending me the G106, and I hope that you come on back to the channel and that you support us and you continue to say hi and drop in. And with that, I'm just going to say 73, and I'm going to get back home and finish out the day at home. So thanks for joining. 73, bye-bye, everybody.